So for you, as you were growing up, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or is that something that found you along the way?
I guess I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I used to tell my mom since I was a kid that I want to solve problems, I want to start businesses, I just want to run my own thing, So I'd say I've always felt like entrepreneurship is my thing. I don't really belong with employment. I don't really go well with employment.
Hello, welcome to this episode of Talks on Your Timeline with your host, Celine Murugi. Thank you so much for being here. I am joined by an amazing guest today, Sydia. Welcome to the podcast today, Sydia.
Thank you, Celine.
Yeah, I am so glad to have you here.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to go through your story. You have such an inspiring one. You have built a brand, you have built your name for yourself, and we just cannot wait to talk to you today.
Let's get started.
Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning. You growing up, you going to school. How was it like for you growing up?
Okay. So I grew up in a small village in Meru, raised by my mom and dad, and had 3 amazing siblings, all girls. Yeah, studied in one of the neighborhood primary, then joined high school in Limuru Girls. Later on, got into the University of Nairobi to study real estate. And yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So for you growing up, I know you said that your parents were very supportive. So for you, as you were growing up, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or is that something that found you along the way?
I guess I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I used to tell my mom since I was a kid that I want to solve problems, I want to start businesses, I just want to run my own thing, So I'd say I've always felt like entrepreneurship is my thing. I don't really belong with employment. I don't really go well with employment.
No, that's amazing. And were your parents always also supportive of the same decision whenever you said that? Or, was it like, sometimes our parents are like, the 9 to 5 is the safety route, or were they always supportive even whenever you had aspirations to get into entrepreneurship?
So both my parents are business owners. So I just think they were okay with it. They didn't mind it. They supported me. If I wanted to do anything, they just tell me, you can do it,
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
No, that's amazing. And it's amazing that your parents are also in the business space, because then you had role models and footsteps to follow also. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. And when you got into Limuru Girls, which is the high school you went to, even during that time, did you have clarity of the business you wanted to go into?
No. So when in Limuru Girls, I actually thought I'd be an engineer. I really, really wanted to be a software engineer. But that was not the case. So when I was joining campus, I didn't score the marks I hoped I would. Not that I failed, but I didn't score what I hoped I would. And it meant that if I was to do software engineering, I'd have to do it in a distant university, not University of Nairobi. I wanted to only study in the University of Nairobi. So for software engineering, I didn't meet the cut. And I remember asking myself, what else can I do? So it's during that course selection period, and I'm just trying to find something to do. And I stumbled across this course called real estate. And I just decided, you know what? Let me just apply. It sounds cool. Yeah, that's how it started.
Oh, wow. And then you applied for real estate. You got into the real estate department. And at that time, I imagine you don't know anyone that is in the real estate space. Will that be a correct assumption?
That's correct. I didn't know anyone in real estate. I didn't even know how to explain to my parents what I'm trying to study. They're like, Sydia, you've scored this, please do this. You know, there are better courses you can do. Sorry. There are better courses you can do. Hatutaki ati ukue property manager, unakuja tu kazi ni kucollect rent, kufuatilia service charge. So my mom was a bit concerned about it. The only realtor or property manager she knew was these caretakers. So she couldn't understand what I'm trying to get into. So she thought, perhaps do something else. But if this is what you want to do, well and good.
Oh, wow. And when they were saying that, were you just like, I'll just go ahead and do it? How did you get their buy-in, so to speak?
They're supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll just tell me what they think and then let me decide. So they said, I don't think this would be a good fit for you. I think you can do something better. I know you didn't get the marks I should hope, but there are other courses you can do. But I was like, I want to do real estate. Yeah, and they said, okay, just do it.
Wow. And that actually ended up being a blessing to you, right? Because, yeah.
I actually think it's more of a divine redirection because, to be very honest, this field I belong and I love it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you go into university, you get started on real estate. Throughout your 4 years, are there like people you were trying to meet, build your connection? So take me through the journey of getting started in real estate right from campus.
So when I got to campus the first year, as I mentioned, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. So I was trying to find other businesses to do. The whole time I knew this is something easy. I could just do it like part-time, but run other businesses. So I became a salonist. I tried becoming a waitress. I started writing jobs. So I wasn't really, really focusing on it till I also became a commercial model just for some clothing brands and whatnot. And then it got to a point around second year. That was when COVID came. And I thought to myself, I'm in this field. I have to make it work, right? I have to find problems to solve within the real estate space. I have to stop trying to find other problems in other markets and focus on the one that I'm currently in. So during COVID, I used to be a commercial model then, and I used to see people sell makeup, clothes online to their audiences, their communities. And I remember thinking to myself, perhaps I can do the same thing for real estate. Perhaps I can just showcase properties, whether rental or for sale, and see if there's someone, if someone would be interested, right? So yeah, my journey has been influenced by so many people. I've had so many mentors who told me what to do and what not to do. But getting into real estate seriously started at the point where in second year during COVID, when I decided, this has to work out. This will have to work out. I have to be in this field. I have to find problems within this field and solve them.
And yeah, I think that's focus also. I think when you're trying to build anything, you have to have laser focus and just know that it's gonna work, right? And yeah, you touched on some really good things. You talked about, first of all, is the focus and, going all in on something. You talked about mentorship, which is also a big part of your journey. And you also talked about brand building, which is posting online. So for each of those things, let's even start with the mentorship part. For the mentorship, how did you, because you started right back in campus, right? How did you start building your network or your mentors while still in campus? So was it like the professors, or how are you meeting people?
So when I want something, I really go for it. I did a research on everyone in the real estate market, identified people I'd like to, reach out to, ask for help. And that's what I did. So I wrote Instagram messages to different companies, different agents, different realtors.
Really? Like you called outreach?
Just that. And even on LinkedIn, I went and did the same. So I love what you're about. You're in the real estate space. Let me reach out to you. There's no harm. Most of them didn't reply, but very few replied, and they changed my life. The first person who replied, I'd not say they became my mentor, but they became a very instrumental part of my journey. His name is Bulimo. So I was reaching out. At that time, I was doing rentals in Roysambu. And I just wanted someone to guide me who's been in that field for long, tell me how things run, what are the better areas, what to do, what not to do. So I reached out to him. The same message I'd written to other realtors, I had sent to him. He responded and said, "Oh, I love your passion. I love your drive. I may not be able to mentor you, but I can take you around on these fine days, show you some properties, show you how things are done, show you how to talk to different people here and there, and then you can go on and do your thing." And that's what he did. The second person who impacted my journey is Nation Okoa. Him, I reached out on LinkedIn. I told him, this is what I do, this is where I'm at, and this is how I want you to help me. I didn't think he would respond. Most of the time when I was sending out those messages, I didn't expect them to respond. I used to tell myself, what's the worst that could happen?
It's a no.
Yeah. But at least I'll have tried. And he responded. And to be very honest, Nation has really, really helped me set up the company. He's shown me what to do, what not to do, how to carry myself well as a realtor, how to lead my people, how to manage finances. So he taught me everything I know about business and everything I know about real estate. Then that person is my now partner. He's called Munge. He impacted my journey so much. When I met him in 2023 March. I'd already now gotten help from Bulimo, and I'd started looking at other markets, right? I'd stopped doing rentals in Roysambu. So when I met him, I was employed at a company, a real estate company. I was actually doing 2 jobs at the same time. One, a land sales job in Diani, and another one, an estate agency company, K Nairobi. I will not mention names. And we'd gone for some sort of an event, a marketing event in Diani, and that's where I met Munge. And I remember him telling me, Sydia, you have the book knowledge, I have the market knowledge, we can collaborate and build something together. And earlier that month, I'd prayed to God about the same thing. So for me, it felt like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do, and it should happen at this exact time. 1 week later, I quit.
Wait, that's so inspiring.
I quit.
And did you know at that point you hadn't even started the company yet, right? So you're quitting all fresh, putting all faith into this is gonna work.
On the ships. I always remind myself, whenever I'm doing something, if I want it to be successful, I have to burn the ships. There's no other way out of it. It has to work out. So when Munge gave me that idea, I'd already learned all there is to learn about running a real estate company from where I was employed. And also I'd learned a lot of things in school, right? Was still learning, actually. I was in my 4th year then.
Oh, 2023 now at that point, yes.
4th year, 2nd sem.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd learned most of the things that I found basic to running or starting the company. And I felt that it was time for me to veer out on my own. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I know you talked a little bit. Yeah, wow, that's such an inspiring journey. We started all the way from sophomore year to senior year. Actually, that will be 2nd year to 4th year. You have done so much during that time frame, right? Including the 3-month employment you just talked about. Wow, it just goes to show the power of time. I mean, you were able to go from, you got forecasts, you went and found your mentors, you got a job, and you're doing all this while still in uni, right?
So the timelines, so I was in uni.
Yeah.
First thing I did, I got a valuation job, which was an attachment. Then in 2022, around March, I began doing rentals in Roysambu, Kasarani, Ruiru, where I would charge just a viewing fee. So I know where the properties are. I'm posting them on social media. If you're interested in seeing that property, you just pay me a viewing fee. You define the criteria of what you're looking for. I send you other properties that fit that. Then you plan a viewing, okay? So I did that for a while. Then the elections came. I went back to the village. And thank God all this time my classes were online, thanks to COVID. So I went back to the village and I thought about the whole strategy, what I was doing. The rental was good. It showed me that the model I was using worked, that social media was actually powerful, that you can actually reach the right people. And cost of entry to any market just significantly went down, right? So I can get to you, for example.
For sure.
I can get to someone in Austria, someone in UK at a very minimal cost. So the cost of entry had been low. And I was thinking, how can I make great use of this tool? And how can I actually bring some sort of impact in the real estate market? I didn't want to do rentals anymore. I wanted to do something more, right? And at that point, that's when I started looking for mentors during now election times. That's when I started reaching out to different mentors. When I interacted now with Bulimo, the first guy who responded to me, I realized that the market that I should focus on is now the upmarket areas because it resonates with the company and the brand I want to build. And then as I was doing my research, I stumbled across off-plan properties. As you know, I specialize in off-plan properties.
Yes.
And I'm rather passionate about it because off-plan is the easiest way to homeownership. You're buying a property at a really good price. Most of the times, 30 to even 40% off the market price.
That is true.
When the property is ready. So you're buying it at a low entry price. You're paying in installments over the course of 2 to 3 years. And there's literally no interest. What was lacking is the guidance of identifying the right developer, the right location to invest, and now the right property. So I wanted to be that. And I wanted to use social media to do that.
I see.
Then came Mungay. I had this already mapped out. He's an expert in the field. When we collaborated, he'd been in the industry for over 5 years. So he knew all there is to know about the market.
Yeah, so you mentioned that, Mungay came with the experience. Is that how you got into knowing what developers to trust for your brand?
I'd say for a start, yes, because he'd been in the market longer. He had seen developers who have built and delivered. He had seen developers who promised to do the work and did not deliver, right? So using his market insights, we were able to build on something. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great point. And so for anyone who's just getting started, I think some of the things that you're highlighting is finding good mentorship, but also finding a good partner, right? And balancing each other really well in the process. Okay, that's really cool. And I know one of the things that you also mentioned was around leading people and managing finances are some of the things that your mentors taught you. So let's talk a little bit about that. You now run your own Sydia realty actually company. And actually, we'll just put the name down there for anyone who wants to reach out to you, Sydia Realty. Let's talk a little bit about that entrepreneurship part too. So what was the journey of actually starting the company?
Not the easiest. Choose entrepreneurship if you're ready for sleepless nights, no work-life balance. Yeah, wasn't the easiest, but it really helps if you have mentors who are showing you the ropes. My mentor always told me something, Sydia, you don't have to make mistakes that people have made before. You can avoid them. You can learn from their mistakes. So it was all about mapping out the mistakes that people were making and trying to avoid them. Yeah.
And what are some of those very common mistakes you've seen when getting started within the real estate space?
Just real estate or entrepreneurship as a whole?
Actually, sure.
entrepreneurship, finances can be a very sticky matter. Confusing company finances and your money, right? So there has to be you have to be disciplined between this is what the company has, this is what Sydia has. I'd also say when it comes to hiring, I've made that mistake a lot. I've hired a lot of wrong people, only to later learn about it. But I feel like it was minimized by the fact that I was seeking advice from my mentor. He would tell me how to do it. He'd advise me. Also, chasing short-term gains over long-term wins. In our industry, you'll find that some agencies are quick to take up any developer who offers to pay them, really, who offers to pay them. Perhaps they'll offer you a higher commission, they'll offer you, all the nice stuff, but you know deep down, right, that's not a good developer, you should not take them. So if you look at it in the short term, you're making some money, right, and you're making good money, more than what other developers would pay. But in the long term, it might really affect your clients, because then you're selling to them something that you know is not good. That's just one example, but there's so many mistakes you can make around entrepreneurship. For me, what I struggle with the most is I'm a young person, so being a leader in leading people who are smarter than me, so I have to constantly study. That's how I learned how to solve that problem. I have to constantly study, learn, because how am I supposed to serve smart people if I'm not just smart as them? So I have to constantly challenge myself to learn. Whenever I hire someone and they share something new, I just try to learn with them. There's so many issues around the market, and there's so many challenges, and there's so many things that people could struggle with. These are some of the things I did struggle with, and the ones that I'm comfortable talking about. Growing to a leader that I'm supposed to be, delegating, managing finances.
Those are such good points, especially even finding the right talent too, as you mentioned. And did you ever feel underestimated when you were getting started? Because as you said, so you're younger and you've had so much success, and sometimes you get to work with people that are older than you, or you're employing people that are older than you. So when you think about maybe the right talent, right fit, is that something you ever had to consider? Did the dynamics ever feel weird?
I guess oftenly, but I'd say it did feel weird. I did get underestimated. I get underestimated a lot, actually. I don't mind it. I actually think that's now a kind of superpower, because you don't know what I have to pull next. But it happens a lot.
Okay, that's fair, and I think, it is some of the growing pains that we have to experience, and even being a young woman who's breaking into such a big space, right? And you're doing amazing for sure. So you also talked a little bit about managing finances, right? And ensuring that the finances are separate, both for you and the company. And that means having two different bank accounts and keeping like company records different from yours and all that, right? So when you were getting started, did you know all this information? And also when you were getting or is this something that you learned as you went? And when you were getting started, did you require significant capital to get started?
I started with no capital.
Really? So you can get started without capital?
I think so.
Yes.
All I needed for my business is to know where the properties are, right? To do some due diligence on them, and to use my phone, which I had, take some videos, then post them on social media. I use social media as my biggest lead generating source, right? So all I had to do was use the phone that I currently have, walk around Kilimani. So I'd just take a matatu, come to Kilimani, and I'd walk the whole day, just tour around the neighborhood, taking videos. No financial.
Wow, that is so inspiring. So you didn't even need to know like people within the Kilimani Westlands, which is now the high end that you focus on. You just, went and just literally just immersed yourself in the field and ran with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was easy at that time because all you have to do is go to a developer and tell them, my name is this is what I do, and I would like to sell your project. So at first they will not give you an agreement, right? They'll tell you if you can sell, then we will talk. But go see the show house, go see it, do whatever you want, yeah?
Yeah. Wow. Let's talk about you closing your very first big deal, right? Especially in the high market, because that's very significant, right? I mean, you've started, as you said, from like just walking around. Walk me through the process and the feeling behind closing your first big deal.
I remember it so vividly. I got a call from a guy, said he'd seen a video of me on TikTok, yeah? And he was interested in that unit I'd posted. He called on Friday evening, asked if we could meet on Saturday. We met, I showed him the unit, showed him some more, and he bought one of those units, a studio unit, I remember. I was so happy. I was so happy. Yeah, we're still friends actually. Yeah, we still talk, and he's been buying properties from me over and over. Yeah, there's such a satisfying moment because I had been doing this now for over 6 months and had not sold, right?
Wow. When you started now
Yeah.
the brand building behind Sydia Realty, it took you the 6 months for your first big deal.
Yeah, so I was so excited. I was so excited, and just showed me that actually what you're doing, Sydia, it works. Just keep at it. There are people who actually value what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think the biggest lesson there, even with your story, is around patience, right? It doesn't work out on the first. I mean, you had first month, second month, and you still kept going, right? So I think the biggest lesson there is for anyone watching is actually around just being patient and believing in what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, yeah, so you close that first deal, and then for the other deals that kept coming, was that now over time, or is it that first client, eventually referred you to someone else, or was it also through social media, your second and third deal, like now the scaling part?
70% of my deals, my closed business, comes from social media.
Wow. Okay.
The second deal also came from social media. Same property, same week actually. It was so funny. I'd stayed for 6 months without selling, and then I sold to the first person on Saturday, and then that week, like before Friday, I sold to the second one. Same property. And from there, it's always been that way.
That is amazing. So it just started working out, and it just kept working out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Actually, let's talk a little bit more on the building a brand online, right? As you said, it takes a phone. Honestly, you can just start recording and just fly with it. You have built a following of over 90,000 subscribers on Instagram, and people trust you with their money, right? So what do you think has made you get to that point, and how did you start building credibility on the online space?
I showed up consistently. I wanted to be synonymous with property in Nairobi. I wanted when someone sees my video, they're like, oh, this is the lady who sells property. So I showed my face more often. I spoke to my clients more often. I posted every day, every single day. And when I promised I'd do something, I'll do it. And if I'm not able to do it, I still tell you I can do it. Really tried working on communication, right? What is my client actually saying? What does my audience really need? What kind of content would be good for them? So I started listening to the things my audience was saying and the things they weren't saying, and curating content just for that. So I I grew a lot on social media when I started answering my clients' problem. I realized the FAQs, questions that were asked, were almost the same across board. So I started creating content to answer those questions without them being asked. And that's how I grew my following. And I've been ever since just trying to grow it.
Also listen to the customers and always ensure that your business is very customer centric, because they will tell you exactly what they need.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that is so powerful. And, now you are building your brand online, and, at this point, you are at the national level of your career, and at that point specifically. And as of today, you're actually an international figure, right? You have expanded beyond Kenya. I mean, actually, you do have a lot of diaspora clientele and have built a lot of trust. So tell us about going from a national to international level.
For that, I'd just like to talk about social media and
Yes.
how powerful it is. So I think social media is a very powerful tool if used well. It makes the whole globe like a small village. You can reach anyone, anywhere they are, at any time, really. And it's so cheap to do it, right? When you compare it to traditional marketing, which is costly, the people who are seeing what you're posting is also, what you're sharing is also limited. And you can't target or retarget when it comes to traditional media. But with social media or digital media as a whole, and I'm only speaking for social platform because that's what I'm familiar with, the minute you start curating content around something, it has a way of readjusting itself, right? And then once you are able to analyze and identify the people who engage with your content, you can now start targeting, right? Answering their questions only. So for me, I later realized that the people who are coming to my page, who are enjoying my page, were people from the diaspora, just like you. So I started curating content just for you. And that's how it just grew. The more I created to answer the questions of a client like you, who's based in the diaspora, the more I got more clients from the diaspora watching my page. And knowingly or unknowingly, I ended up getting a niche. I became like your go-to realtor for diaspora clients who are interested in investing in Nairobi.
Wow, and that is so accurate, because I was actually just telling you the story. I came to find your page through my friend who's also in the diaspora. So it's actually very interesting that, clearly your content has gotten to that global scale, right? And you currently sell to people in the US, UK, Australia. I would imagine anywhere across the world they can reach out to you for anyone trying to get into real estate.
Anywhere. I remember this time I was selling to a guy and he told me he's from Isle of Man. And I'm like, where is that even?
He's from where?
Isle of Man.
Isle of Man. Okay.
Yeah. I keep hearing these new countries, these new places, and I'm like, where is that? And you saw me through Instagram?
Yes. I found you through Instagram, actually. And then that's how I ended up calling you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's indeed a powerful tool.
Wow. And you talked about trust, right? So, and that has been such a big component, especially with the diaspora people. I think one of the biggest fears that people in the diaspora have is, who do I trust with my money? Who do I trust that, when they show me a property, it's actually a developer who is not going to scam me out of my money, right? So in that trust aspect, especially, are there any lessons you've picked as you've worked with this diaspora people on just trust building, especially online? Yeah.
What I've learned is if you want the diaspora community to trust you, if you say you'll do something, do it. If you're unable to do it, also communicate and communicate clearly. Then listen to them more than you speak. Hear them. Understand that the concerns are legit, they're real, These are things that are actually happening, right? So try be a guide for them, a partner in their journey, and be consistent. Remove uncertainty that you'll just disappear with their money. And do your research, right, on the market. When it comes to me as a realtor, I have to do my research on the market and on the developers. So if I'm to recommend a property to you, I have to be able to support the developer, say the developer is good, they've built this and that, and they delivered on time. I also need to check if they have all the approvals, all the licenses. So I do my research on my part because you're giving me that trust, right? I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, you did actually. Yeah, that is perfect. And yeah, that's such a great point. And I think you did the same with me too, and I think one thing that you've also done really well is working with other professions, because I remember you actually referred me to a lawyer, right? So for anyone who may need, like second level of approval, you have the contacts that someone may need, is what I'm trying to say, right? So Sydia Realty is a one-stop shop for any need that you may have, even outside. If you need like a legal contact, you can get that through the Sydia Realty, right? And real brief, for someone who's trying to get into real estate, you're in the, as you said, in the off-plan space. Why would I do off-plan as someone who's trying to invest in Nairobi? Why would I do off-plan over, say, land? Because I think a lot of diaspora people end up investing in land. So in that case, how would you advise them? Like, why go the off-plan route? Yeah.
Okay, so off-plan has so many benefits. The first one is you're investing in a property, you're buying it at, say, 30 to 40% less of the future market value, and then you're paying it in installments slowly as they build. By the time it's complete, your capital has appreciated, right, by 30% minimum, right? And as soon as it's ready, you're able to rent it out and get very attractive rental yields. People have different strategies when it comes to investing in real estate. There are people who love buying land and betting on speculation. But I personally, my strategy is invest in a market that you know it's already working, collect your good rental yield, enjoy the capital appreciation, and move. So off-plan property is not for everyone, right? There are people with a very low risk appetite, because now you're buying something that's being built, it's not ready, you're buying into a vision of the future. So it's not for everyone. But if you're looking to buy a property for rental income, off-plan offers you the best route to go about it. Because if you compare someone who bought a off-plan property and someone else who buys a ready property, let's assume they're in the same development. So if you bought an off-plan property, they bought a ready property in the same development. So you bought 2 years back, you bought it, let's say, for 6 million. Someone comes in later, buys it when it's ready, buys it for 8 million. So they've paid 2 million more than you got it.
Yes.
Mind you, you'll still collect the same rent. So the one who bought it off plan has enjoyed 2 million in capital appreciation. You, the one who's buying ready, nothing so far. You all enjoy a rental income of, let's say, 75,000 per month for unfurnished. You all enjoy rental income, okay, but the person who bought it off plan has more benefits on top of it. They bought it for cheaper, they've enjoyed that capital appreciation, and now they're collecting a rental yield, 75,000 of 6 million. This other person is collecting 75,000 still, but they bought it at 8 million. So if you're coming in as an investor looking to get the highest rental yield and get the highest returns, off-plan is the route for you, the best route for you. If you're a home buyer, right? You can just come and buy a ready property because you're living there and you're not looking at returns. But if you're a home buyer also and you want to save some money and you want some flexibility in making payments, off-plan offers the best solution for you. Land, I'm not a big believer in land speculation or buying in areas with the hope that they grow. I want to work with areas that are already grown, that have shown, from past records, it has shown that it does well and will continue doing well.
Oh, that's amazing. And so for someone who's trying to rent, even as you said, if I buy land, that will probably take 10 years to appreciate, right? Versus if I just buy, an off plan, like you said, within 2 years, even if I bought it and sold it right at completion, say 3 years, I would still make profit, right?
Would.
Yeah. And also if I rent it out, as you said, if I do off plan, say with your math of 6,075,000, within a very short time frame, I'm able to get my money back, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. That's the return on investment seems pretty good in that case. And I know another thing you've also done is you've traveled abroad, also through real estate. And so for you, do you usually are those trips to do you go there in person to source more clients, or is it just part of you growing, your brand, or just you expanding your knowledge and skill set?
I do enjoy traveling.
Yes.
That's one of the things I do as a hobby. I've traveled to China once. It was for business, but other times I just traveled for my own leisure. I had been taken there by a developer because I was one of their best-selling agents for their project that year. So I went there for business, interacted with their chairman. They're running an empire. These developers, they're doing really small projects here in Nairobi. When you go to China, it's just mind blown. Yeah, I was impressed. I was able also to visit some of their factories. So there's so much more other than just real estate and building.
I see.
But I've not gone for any other business trip. That was the only. But I do enjoy traveling.
And when you go there, actually, I know you also offer apartment management too. So for someone who has bought a property through Sydia Realty and is looking to rent out, you're able to manage for them, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's also something worth highlighting. Yeah. And you did say that there's a lot of development that is happening even within China, and you're able to visit some of the sites there. As part of Sydia Realty, do you see yourself expanding to home furnishing, or how do you foresee Sydia Realty, the brand, growing from where it is right now?
So the vision, for the company is to build a cross-border real estate investment platform that offers end-to-end property solutions. At the moment, we are doing very well with sales. We started working on property management last year because we realized it's a need most of our clients have. Having that, we're serving a lot of clients in the diaspora. They ask us, Sydia, now how will I manage this property? We sell to investors most of the time, right? So they want to know, how will they collect the rent? How will they ensure there's a tenant? How will they do this small things? So we take that off for them. We are also trying to venture into other things within the real estate space. I'm interested in the prop tech, solving property solutions using technology, right? So that's something we are thinking about this year. There's just so much to do in real estate. The vision is there. It's bigger than I. It's bigger than the team even. But we want to build a one-stop shop for all property solutions. So right now we've done sales. We're strong there. Property management, also doing okay. Now we keep adding. Yeah. Keep going.
That's amazing.
We're also looking at now this model. We're practicing it in Nairobi, in these 5 core areas: Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Lavington, Westlands, and Riverside. But we plan on replicating this model to other markets. So for me, the next market is Diani, right? Get into Diani, the coastal areas. And then perhaps later we can think about Rwanda, right? Then Zanzibar, because most of our clients ask for properties in these areas, but we have to build systems that support the expansion, right? We want to scale on a model that's already working. So right now we're trying to finalize on that model, make sure everything works for the Nairobi market, for the areas that we are serving, then build from there.
Oh, wow. I really, really love that. And I cannot wait to see how far Sydia Realty, the brand, grows and you as a person. And, as we come to an end, you've had such a great support system, as you said, from your family, from your friends. Do you still keep a lot of contact with them? Or how do you balance, being a very busy entrepreneur as well as, say, your family and your friendships?
I try. Yeah. I try. I try. I try to remind myself a lot that I am a woman, I am a sister, I am a daughter, here I am a friend, I am a cousin, I am an auntie before I'm a realtor, then an entrepreneur. So I really, really try balance it.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but try.
Yeah. But you have done an amazing job at keeping in touch with like people, your friends. Like I think every time I call you, you're always available. So it's actually amazing because even whenever I have questions, I can just call you and I know you'll answer your phone. So yeah, you're definitely doing a great job there. But yeah, last question as we wrap up, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to get started in the real estate? I know we've talked about so much. You talked about prayer, you talked about mentorship, you talked about starting with where you're from, just what you have in that moment. If you just have your phone, start with that. You talked about, the initiative, taking initiative, right? So is there anything else you'd like to add for anyone who's listening?
I guess I'd just like to support a point I'd made earlier. I'd say if you have an idea, if you have something that you want to get into, just start, You'll figure things out as you go. There's something I'd read a while back, I don't remember that well, but when you're driving on when you're driving on a road on a foggy day, you shouldn't worry about the 5 kilometers ahead. Worry about seeing the first 100 meters. Then as you drive, you'll see another 100 meters. So just start wherever you are with whatever you have and trust in God. He's above. He'll guide you. He'll lead the way. He'll show you where you need to be and what you need to do.
No, that's so amazing. And yeah, honestly, thank you so much. This has been such a great episode. I think so many people will be inspired by your story, myself included, and you raise a good point on just getting started. I always feel like getting started is always the hardest part of anything, a lot of times we talk about, oh, I want to do this, but actually getting started, that always feels like the harder hill to overcome, right? So that is such a great point. But yeah, it's been so lovely having you on Talks on Your Timeline. Thank you so much for creating time to be here, especially when you have such a busy schedule.
No, it's okay. Thank you for inviting me. This is my first time I'm on this side of the I'm on this side of the camera where I'm getting asked questions. It was a bit uneasy, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the first of many.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really glad we could be your first host. Actually, before we close, because you also sit on this side, you're usually a host of your own podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention where people can learn more about real estate, your YouTube page, even your Instagram page where they can find you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a property in Nairobi, you can find us on, first of all, Instagram at Sydia the Realtor, on YouTube, Sydia Realty TV, and we have a website, www.sydiarealty.com. If you wanna call, you can display my number on your screen, but it's 0700437505.
Yeah.
Happy to walk this journey with you. Oh, lastly, I have a podcast that I began, What Experts Have to Say. where we sit down with voices impacting the Nairobi real estate market. They get to talk to us about the challenges, the opportunities, everything there is to know about the real estate market. So if you're interested, you can subscribe.
Yeah, and I will definitely put all the contacts on the screen as well as on the description. But once again, thank you so much. And this has been such a lovely episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Talks on Your Timeline. I hope to see you here for the next one. Bye.